as I told, most of the patients are going to present with the hemolytic anemia, and hemolytic anemia patient present with the anemia and jaundice, and this is basically due to the decreased survival, because normal lifespan of RBC is 120 days, but in HBS, this is sickle cell disease, if there is hemolytic anemia, reticulocyte count is bound to rise. This vaso-occlusion patient, this is baseline features of these patients, but vaso-occlusion is causing infarctions, the micro infarctions. If there is a death of any tissue or cell, there is bound to be pain. So this painful crisis is something patient most commonly presents with the hospital. So this painful crisis can be said as the most common clinical presentation of sickle cell disease. How this occurs? They, there is polymerization if oxygen tension is reduced at vascular, this venous end of the vascular bed. But apart from that, there are some provocative factors. Most commonly it is some infection. If there is rapid change in temperature, means if there is a fever or hypothermia, if patient exercises vigorously, if there is hypoxia, if there is anxiety, or if hypertonic dyes are injected for some of the reasons. Okay. So this will going to increase the polymerization of sickle cell hemoglobin, and this polymerization is going to occlude the vascular bed. If these vascular beds are occluded in the connective tissue or musculoskeletal structures, there occur the painful crisis. At other organ, there are other manifestations, but in the connective tissue and musculoskeletal structures, it will lead to the acute pain and tenderness. There occur the fever, there is tachycardia, and patient is looking anxious. Okay, these painful crises are going to last for few hours to weeks, 2 weeks. And it is seen that the patient presenting with the repeated episode of painful crisis, and by repeated I mean more than 3 painful crises or vaso-occlusion crisis per year, these patients have lesser survival, lesser life expectancy than one who is having no painful crisis or lesser painful crisis. So it can be a prognostic marker if there occur the multiple pain crises every year. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. These sickle cell hemoglobin are having more propensity of polymerization. So the organs having finer capillary like vascular bed are going to be affected relatively more. Okay. So there are few general things like patient with present with anemia. Anemia can be of multiple cause. One of the cause is decreased red cell survival. Apart from that, there can occur the something is known as sequestration crisis. We'll discuss. So the large amount of blood get trapped into the spleen or liver. So it can lead to the decreased hemoglobin, or there is something known as aplastic crisis in this patient. Patient develops aplastic anemia. So this can be the cause of anemia. Apart from that, this painful crisis are something most common. So we just discussed about the painful crisis. Okay. These patients are having autosplenectomy due course of time, and it is occur very early at age of 18 months. So these patients are having decreased function of this lymphoreticular system, and if there is no spleen, the encapsulated organism are going to be more hostile towards that patient. So the propensity of infection increases in these patients. Apart from that, if patient, a female having the sickle cell disease and she becomes pregnant, so it is bound to have implication over her maternal as well as fetal outcome. Okay. So as far as the clinical features are concerned, it will be multi-system disorder. So the symptoms are going to occur at very organ level. So I have divided the clinical feature into acute presentation of that organ or that organ system, and this acute process goes on repeatedly. If patient doesn't die, then it will lead to the some chronic manifestation. So we'll start from the top. So the topmost part is our brain. So in central nervous system, acutely patient present with the ischemic hemorrhagic stroke or TIA. So patient may present with the stroke, but so this small micro infarctions occur over the protracted period of time. Patient may not present as the full-fledged stroke, but patient may develop a cerebral infection which is not manifested. Okay. If there is multiple means multi multiple ischemic area developed over the time, the cognitive faculty of this patient is going to reduce. Apart from that, if the area responsible for the behavior of the patient become microinfarcted, then it will lead to the behavioral change. And limbic system is something implicated in the behavior. Okay. So the brain will remember the ischemia and the psycho behavioral changes. Okay. Next is eyes. Eyes are having a good vascular bed. So in acutely, these patients may present with the retinal artery occlusion or retinal detachment. And chronically, the neovascularization occurs. So patient present with the proliferative retinopathy in eyes. The next important organ is lungs. Acutely patient present with the acute chest syndrome. We'll see what is this acute chest syndrome. Patient may present with the asthma or pulmonary embolism. This pulmonary embolism can be of thromboembolism or fat embolism. Both can be there. In the chronic condition, these patients may present with a pulmonary hypertension or sleep apneas or obstructive lung disease. Acutely, they can present with the asthma, but chronically, they are presenting with the restrictive lung disease, not obstructive. The next important organ is heart. So, heart acutely, there can be the myocardial infarction, there can occur the arrhythmias, patient may die suddenly, something known as sudden cardiac death, or there can occur the tachycardia type of syndrome, or can occur the autonomic dysfunction. Okay. But chronically, this patient may develop heart failure due to repeated MI or may develop the diastolic dysfunction. So diastolic dysfunction can be the feature. So remembering is very easy. We are starting with top to bottom, and the basic pathophysiology is ischemia. So every time we are dealing with the ischemia only. So the list is very exhaustive, but remembering the list is very easy. In each organ, some presentation is acute, you are already aware of. Some chronic disease of that due to the microinfarction is there. The next is liver. Important organ is liver. These are all having high vascularity. So the effect is so. So what happens? This can occur the sequestration, hepatic sequestration crisis. It can cause the acute liver injury inacutely. It can cause the, if microvessels obstruction occur, the intrahepatic cholestasis can be there due to the swelling. So intrahepatic cholestasis something can occur acutely. What happens if there is protracted period of time? What will happen? This hemolysis will be there. So this is going to be excreted through bile. If the pigment will rise, this can lead to the stone formation. And the gallstone is something a cardinal feature of hemolytic anemia. Okay. The next important organ is spleen. Acutely, patient can present with a splenic sequestration crisis. What is this? We'll look just in few seconds. and due protracted period of time, this whole spleen is going to be infarcted, and this is something called as autosplenic. Okay. Next important organ is kidney. So acutely there occur the acute kidney injury. Okay. Or in chronic, it can cause the chronic kidney injury. And if there is CKD, there is hypertension. Apart from that, this sickle cell disease can cause diabetes insipidus, where the large amount of urine is going to be excreted, and the cause is in kidney only. So this is known as the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay. This cortical infarction leads to the decreased ability of kidney to concentrate urine. And this is basic pathophysiology behind the nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. And the specific gravity of the urine will remain the same. So concentrating ability is going to lost by the kidney. So this is known as the isostenuria. Isostenuria is inability to concentrate urine. The specific gravity of urine, the density of urine remain same irrespective of the hydration. The next organ is genitourinary. Acutely patient may present with a priapism. Priapism is something painful erectile, this painful erection of the penis, painful erection. So priapism, this patient can present with a priapism. A patient coming with a priapism will complain of erection, and it will be very painful. And it is irrespective, unprovocative, means without a sexual site or sexual thought. So it will be erection and it will be painful. But what happens due course of time, the microinfection are going to develop. So this patient will not able to have erection, and this will lead to the erectile dysfunction. These digits are very rich in capillary. So here also going to occur the same feature. So this leads to the avascular necrosis, or if digits are inflamed, it is known as dactylitis. If digits of hand and feet both are going to be affected, this is known as hand-foot syndrome. It is a feature of sickle cell disease. Okay. And over protracted period of time, what happens? The osteoporosis can. So if you look at this slide, now it seems very crowded. But if you decode it with two features, first, the all major organ going to be affected, and the basic pathophysiology is ischemia. So it will remain very easy to do. Okay. There are few things which need special mention. The first I told is splenic sequestration crisis. What happens there? The vascular end, in the vascular bed there is arterial end and there is venous end. So this polymerized hemoglobin going to occlude the venous end. So whole of the cardiac output is going to trapped inside the spleen. So spleen become massively enlarged, very fragile, and there occur the pain due to stretching of cap. This is a very dangerous condition. This usually occurs in the childhood, and it is logical also, because after 1.5 years, this patient is not going to have a spleen at all, because spleen has been splenectomized by the microinfarction. So this is something real in the children only, and this requires the emergency splenectomy. Otherwise, patient may die of low cardiac output, because everything is going to be trapped inside the spleen. So splenic sequestration crisis is something occur in children, and it is required emergency splenectomy. The next I told about the hand-foot syndrome. It is nothing but hand and foot are involved. So there occur the painful infarctions and dactylitis of hand and foot, and it is known as hand-foot syndrome. Next is acute chest syndrome. Acute chest syndrome is a manifestation of pulmonary system. So patient may present with a chest pain, tachypnea, fever, cough, and patient will desaturate, hypoxemia occur. If there is hypoxemia, more and more HBS is going to polymerize. So acute chest syndrome is a emergency and patient needs to be admitted in ICU many times. Okay. And this presentation, you look at the presentation, this pain, tachypnea, fever, cough, desaturation, this all can occur in the pulmonary embolism or pneumonia. So pulmonary embolism and pneumonia is something closest differential of the acute chest syndrome. So they need to be evaluated, need to be ruled out. The basic pathophysiology is same: microembolism, microinfarctions in the lung. There is polymerization in the pulmonary capillaries leading to the acute chest syndrome. Okay. One thing needs uh, to be stated here, that this this phosphodiesterase 5 inhibitors, they are increasing the nitrous oxide. This nitrous oxide is implicated in the polymerization. This in the treatment we'll look, this nitrous oxide is something implicated in the polymerization. It increases the ability of oxygen. So the less oxygen will be delivered to the tissue, but more oxygen will remain attached to the hemoglobin. So hemoglobin will be not deoxygenated, not desaturated. So polymerization of hemoglobin can be reduced. But in trials, this sildenafil used for the acute chest syndrome treatment, but the mortality somehow increased. So this was discontinued. So you can remember just one thing: if patient present with the acute chest syndrome, this is a medical emergency and patient should be attended immediately. This is all about the clinical features.